The only empty seats at my college graduation were the 4 with my family's names on them. Front row too. I know because I kept looking at them like an idiot. Every few minutes I'd glance over while pretending not to. Waiting for that last-minute rush. Somebody jogging in late. Mom waving apologetically. My older brother Lane acting annoyed but showing up anyway. Nothing. Just 4 folded programs sitting untouched in the June heat. The woman beside me whispered, "Your people parking?" I smiled like it was no big deal. Probably. They weren't parking. They were at my cousin's softball tournament 3 towns over because apparently 13-year-old travel softball had become a sacred family event. Meanwhile I was graduating top of my class from Northwestern with a finance degree I paid for mostly through scholarships, overnight warehouse shifts, and caffeine strong enough to remove paint. Yeah. That didn't sit right. What really got me though wasn't the absence. It was the pattern. See, families like mine don't fail you dramatically. They fail you consistently. Quietly. Until disappointment starts feeling routine. My father, Russell, had this way of treating attention like a limited resource. And somehow my brother Lane always deserved more of it. Lane was louder. Flashier. Played baseball for exactly 1 decent high school season and somehow stretched that into a 10-year family mythology. Everything I did got translated into smaller language. When Lane sold used cars for 6 months, Dad called him a natural businessman. When I built a tutoring startup in college that paid half my rent, Dad called it a side hustle. Mom wasn't cruel exactly. Worse. She was accommodating. The kind of person who lets unfairness happen because confronting it would make dinner awkward. So she'd say things like, "You know how your father gets." Yeah. I did. After graduation I took pictures alone beside the lakefront while families crowded around hugging each other. Somebody's grandmother handed me my own phone after taking a photo and quietly said, "Honey, you still smiling though." That nearly broke me. But I smiled anyway. Practice. I drove back to my apartment in Evanston that night and found a voicemail from Dad. "Hey bud, heard it went well. Your cousin hit a triple. Crazy game. We'll celebrate your thing soon." Your thing. That phrase stayed with me a while. I didn't yell. Didn't confront anybody. Honestly, that surprised them more over the years than anger ever could. I just adjusted. That became my specialty. While Lane bounced between entrepreneurial opportunities, I worked. Investment analysis internship. Corporate banking. Then fintech consulting. Nothing glamorous at first. Mostly spreadsheets and fluorescent lighting and pretending energy drinks counted as nutrition. But I noticed things. Patterns. Weaknesses. Market gaps. Turns out being ignored teaches you observation. Around 26 I started building a small financial automation platform with my friend Delaney Cho. Smartest person I'd ever met. Zero patience for ego. She once looked at me during a 12-hour coding session and said, "Your family really trained you to apologize for existing, huh?" Brutal sentence. Accurate too. The platform grew slowly at first. Then suddenly all at once. A regional investment group adopted our software. Then another. By 32, we had major licensing deals across 3 states and acquisition offers rolling in weekly. Funny thing about success though? The people who ignored your climb become deeply emotional about your view. My family started calling more around then. Not obvious at first. Little stuff. Dad suddenly asking business questions at barbecues. Mom forwarding articles about wealth management. Lane pitching joint ventures every Thanksgiving despite never reading past page 1 of any proposal. I stayed polite. That's important. People reveal more when they think they still control the conversation. The first million happened on a gray Tuesday afternoon in Chicago during acquisition negotiations with a larger financial infrastructure company. No confetti. No dramatic soundtrack. Just numbers finalizing on screens while attorneys nodded at each other. Delaney looked over at me afterward and smirked. "Well, millionaire. You gonna buy a yacht and become insufferable?" "Nah," I said. "I'm thinking therapy and decent coffee." She laughed so hard security looked over. That night I posted exactly one thing online. A simple photo from our office conference room. No luxury watches. No rented sports car nonsense. Just this caption. "Funny how nobody could make my graduation, but everybody suddenly has time now." That's it. No names. No accusations. Calm. Controlled. And man, people connected those dots fast. Especially because my aunt commented publicly underneath. "Still proud of you, sweetheart. Sorry your family missed that day." Oh, that changed everything. Within an hour cousins started chiming in. Then old classmates. Then apparently someone shared the post locally because random people from my hometown began asking questions my parents definitely did not want asked. That's when I knew, this was gonna get messy. Dad called first. Of course he did. Voice tight. Controlled. "You trying to embarrass us online?" Interesting choice of words. Not, "Did we hurt you?" Not, "Were you disappointed?" Embarrass. I sat in my apartment staring at the skyline a while before answering. "You missed my graduation. We had commitments. You missed all my milestones, Dad." Silence. Then the classic move. "You're being dramatic." There it was. The family anthem. I almost laughed. Instead I said quietly, "Lane's regional baseball semi-final got more support than my entire degree. That's not fair." "No," I agreed. "It wasn't." Then I hung up. The escalation happened naturally after that because families built on favoritism panic when the invisible kid stops protecting the illusion. Lane especially lost his mind. He showed up at my office 2 days later wearing one of those aggressively expensive jackets people buy after Googling how rich people dress. Guy walked into our glass conference room like he owned the lease. "You made Mom cry." I kept typing for another few seconds before looking up. "Okay. That's it? What response are you hoping for here?" He stared at me hard. "You think money makes you better than us now?" And honestly, that hurt more than I expected. Because even now, after everything, he still believed this was about money. Not value. Not absence. Not years of swallowing disappointment with fake smiles at family dinners while everybody celebrated him for breathing correctly. Delaney entered halfway through and instantly read the room. "You need me to stay?" she asked casually. Lane straightened immediately. Status performance. Guys like him always recalibrate around competence. "Nah," I said calmly. "We're finishing up." Then I looked back at him. "You know the worst part?" I asked quietly. "I spent years thinking if I achieved enough, maybe you guys would finally show up." Lane's expression shifted slightly. Tiny crack. First real emotion I'd seen all conversation. "But you did show up," I continued. "The second there was something in it for you." Silence. Heavy silence. He tried talking again but honestly, the energy was gone by then. That's the thing about truth. Once it lands clean, people either reflect or retreat. Lane retreated. After that, things changed slowly. Not perfectly. Dad actually apologized eventually, though it sounded unfamiliar in his mouth, like he'd borrowed somebody else's language. Mom started calling just to talk instead of asking questions wrapped in concern. And me? I stopped chasing recognition from people committed to misunderstanding me. A few months ago Northwestern invited me back to speak at a business mentorship event. Same lakefront. Same auditorium. This time the front row was full. Delaney came. A few former professors too. Even Mom showed up early carrying coffee like she was afraid missing another seat might permanently confirm something about herself. Funny enough, I wasn't angry anymore. Just clear. After the event ended, I stood outside near the water while students took graduation photos with their families. Wind off the lake. Sunset hitting the glass buildings downtown. And for the first time in my life, seeing empty chairs no longer felt like proof that I was easy to leave behind.